It's probably one of the most haunted houses in Massachusetts.
Okay.
It was discovered by Christopher Balzano and my colleague Matt Moniz. The homeowners had found out about them through Chris's website, Massachusetts Paranormal Crossroads. And Matt is the science advisor for Spooky South Coast Radio.
Right.
And they went into the house thinking, well, we'll see what's going on. Maybe they watch a little too much Stephen King or something like that. And
Which is never wrong. That's
no, not slamming Stephen at all. But as you know, some people, their imaginations do run wild. So as they started interviewing this couple, they found, no, this couple is very intelligent, down to earth. The husband didn't believe in this stuff till after he moved into the house, and they were explaining the things happening, and they did an investigation there. And I think Mike Markowitz, as we call him, the EVP guy, Mike Markowitz, he got I think 42 EVPs in one night in this house. Okay. And they walked away thinking, this house is ridiculous. From C to A, 42 in 5 hours in the house. So it wanted more investigations. So when Christopher was doing his book, Picture Yourself Ghost Hunting, a book that comes along with a DVD, he asked me, knowing I'm into videography, could you please shoot the DVD for me? And he figured, let's make it interesting. While we're showing people how to ghost hunt with equipment, let's go to actual haunted locations. So for one of the segments, we went to the Sam West house in Acushnet. The homeowner's like, sure, come on in, guys, you can film it here. We'd love to be in your book. So we're up in the attic, and I'm filming Chris Balzano and Matt Moniz in a room where we've gotten quite a few EVPs, not just our groups, but other groups that we've invited in. Chris is about to set up a video camera and show how he would set a handy cam up in a room like this. And Matt is going along with an EMF meter, showing how you do a sweep just to see if there's any
electrical or anything.
Exactly. And he's just horsing around, and toward the end of the sweep, he goes over Chris and goes, no power, just to be funny. And Chris announces that his handy cam that was fully charged just drained right in front of him. Okay. The battery just absolutely went from full to drain. Right. And when I went home later to edit this segment for his DVD, I had the headphones on, and just before his camera drains, and he announces it, we catch a Class A EVP, and you'll see it on the clip. The video runs twice, and I've raised the volume a little bit. I think your listeners will be able to hear it.
All right. Yeah, if we can get that up.
Even Chris doesn't even show up on EMF. No okay, dude.
I completely just been charging all day. It's dead already.
What?
Yeah.
Even Chris doesn't even show up on EMF.
No power.
Okay, dude.
I completely just been charging all day. It's dead already.
What?
Yeah.
Now, the strange thing is the length of it. But what the voice says is, what are you, a crybaby? Okay. He died in a plane crash. Okay? And the funny thing is, the spirit, as it says the word okay, that's when Chris says, okay, dude, as he starts to turn to Matt to say the camera's drained. So this Class A EVP, this lengthy, detailed EVP comes through to my camera as I'm standing outside the door. It was a really good Sony FX1 camera. I mean, it's a good quality documentary camera. That camera was the camera that caught it on its audio on mini DV. So it looks like Chris's Handycam was drained of power. This EVP's left on my camera. Now, what's so spooky about that is we did some research into the house. A friend of ours who's a professional archivist really went into this house, the history. And, well, we already knew that the house for many, many years was belonged by the funeral parlor in town. And many, many people were brought there to be embalmed and then later buried. But in 1957 at the New Bedford Airport, which is probably as far as the bird flies from this house, only a few minutes away, 1957, a plane leaving the airport crashed into the swamp at the end of the runway. 11 people died in that plane crash. And of course, the bodies were taken to the local funeral
So you think
home.
that's the root cause, possibly?
Yeah, we found one other plane crash. It was a biplane Acrobat before World War II that crashed in the town. But the fact that we had this big, horrendous crash, we think that one of the many spirits that we know to be haunting this house was just being mean and spiteful, probably to someone connected to that crash. But to have an EVP that detailed, that crystal clear, and have it backed up, you know,
right,
with
evidence, right,
historic research, it made all of us just go, oh my
Wait
goodness.
a minute.
Oh my goodness. Now, another clip that I have from the house, I captured this. It's entitled "Please Go." It was an EVP session. You won't. The only thing you'll see on the EVP is a black screen with the EVP on it.
Right.
But I was asking questions to the two little girls that are seen haunting this house. They're heard and they're seen. And I was asking if it was okay that my friends and I come here from time to time to ask questions. And I ask, shortly after asking that question, pause for about 15, 20 seconds, and you'll hear this very sad little girl respond, "Please go."
Okay, so this is audio, no video?
Yes,
okay.
audio, no
so
video.
We can get that going?
Now, what was so spooky about that, to find that later, just, oh my goodness, because these little girls have been caught in EVPs before. They call Matt's name in a sing-song fashion. They'll say, Matthew, Matthew. That's happened twice on two separate investigations, one where Matt wasn't there.
And sing-song goes back to the 1800s, if I'm not mistaken?
Yeah, Mike Markowitz will tell you that he has some pretty deep theories about why you get these sort of sing-song EVPs. But the other thing that he pointed out that I noticed too is you have a car going by outside, and you could barely hear the white noise of the tires going by but the EVP seems to follow the acoustic noise.
Okay.
And you'll find that happens quite often with EVPs. They'll follow an acoustic sound. It'll almost ride it. You'll see the EVP wave right on top of an acoustic wave.
Why do you think that is?
Oh, gee.
Are they trying to hide themselves, make it a little bit harder?
No, it's like they use that acoustic sound to make it to the mic. Mike Markowitz, you've got to have him on your show. Mike is the guy when it comes to EVPs. We call him EVP Mike. He's a freelance investigator. He'll come along with any group that requests his help. That's
good, because we actually have 4 or 5 EVPs we just got the other day. Actually, Melanie Cabrera, a member of ours, got from a private location, and they kind of startled us. So that'd be good to have him.
Yeah, I'm telling you, Mike is the guy to talk to. But you know, he has theories on that. So all I will say that connected to this EVP that I found remarkable. Not only have these girls been seen and heard by people living in the house, they've been caught on other recorders. But when I brought my friend Pam Padalano, the psychic, to the house without her knowing anything about it, she was having one incredibly accurate hit on the family who lives there and the history of the house. And some of the stuff we didn't know what she was talking about, but got confirmed later in research. But she's in the house and she's saying, "Oh, you've got quite a few in the home." She's going, "There's a lot of people in here." And she turns and goes, "Oh, you've got a 7-year-old and a 9-year-old girl, really cute, turn of the century outfits." She's describing them, and she stops and turns and looks at me and goes, "And you scare them."
That's interesting.
So, and she didn't know about that EVP. She said, "You've got to talk much softer when you're in here." She says, "The 7-year-old is actually terrified of you, Andrew." And I looked at it, and the homeowner knew of that EVP, and we're looking at each other like, whoa, you know? And then we told Pam about it. She goes, "That's what it is. You scared him." Yep. So here I am doing my best not to scare these little girls, and apparently I did.
You were, unknowingly.
Now, same house, same room. This video actually has image on the video clip. It's titled "Door Opening" and "Andrew, Shut Up." I was doing an EVP session on my handheld recorder in the attic, and my camera that was left rolling the whole night is shooting out of the room where we catch these EVPs the most into the hallway up in the attic, because the attic is made up of little rooms with a little hallway.
Right.
You'll just be able to make me out in the video leaving. You'll see my shadow in the door opening and closing. And as I hit the doorknob and turn it, you'll hear the metallic click of the doorknob. And the EVP, again, following that acoustic sound, Class A, clear as a bell, an old woman saying, "Andrew, shut up."
Interesting.
Yeah,
let's
catch
run
this. If you have anything to say, I appreciate it very much. Thank you.
That was the door opening.
And the door opens 30 seconds after I left. Now the homeowner said that the door opening and closing on its own was something that had happened. She bought the house from a cop who only had it for a few months and put it right back up on the market. And when she was moving in, she looked at that door and saw that there was a deadbolt lock put on it. And she thought, why would somebody put a deadbolt lock on the attic door? Well, she found out that that door gets open quite often. And I came back to get the camera, and I couldn't believe my luck. I saw the door open and thought, I had a camera running.
And so a lot of people seeing that, they may think that, you know, were there any windows open? Was the door off ajar a little? Or?
I went back to see, you know, if there was any way, because it goes up a very steep staircase to the attic. It could not have been a gust of wind or any kind of vacuum that I could figure out. You know, is that a possibility? Sure it is. Again, anything I'm showing here is not proof of anything. But
it's just perception by everyone else.
And the fact that you can clearly see the light from the stairwell.
Right.
If somebody had been there, which nobody was in the house to play with me. So I was able to rule out from the fact there's no shadow there and the fact that there was nobody in the house. I was all by my own on that investigation. So it wasn't someone playing games with me, and I really could not explain it as being, you know, some kind of vacuum or gust of wind. But interesting.
Still very interesting.
And as far as the elderly woman saying, Andrew, shut up, that's another one of the ghosts that's actually been seen, and they've heard her, not just EVPs, they've heard her complaining about the mess in the house, and they've heard doors slamming. The owner of the house, shortly after moving in, her youngest son woke up screaming, woke them up, I should say, from him screaming. He said an old lady walked out of the closet and went right through the door of his bedroom. So that was the first time they became aware of her. And apparently they think she's the lady that owned the house just before the cop had bought it.
Are there any records on who she may be?
Yeah, there is. I won't get into it because I don't know if she has any living relatives. In fact, I think she even has family in Rhode Island.
Privacy issues, right?
Yeah, I just don't want to offend anybody. But the house is incredibly active, and the homeowner is very. And this was our advice too. Don't let every Tom, Dick, and Harry come in the house and start stirring things up. Because they actually had a tenant who lived on the second floor, who was constantly taunting these things and calling them on and all this stuff. And then the haunting got a little bit aggravated, a lot of slamming doors.
And that's due to that, though.
Yeah, and we had said, you know, I don't mean to team up on your tenant here, but I think it's time to ask him to move on. And since he's moved on, the haunting exists, but it's much more mellow, much more mellow.
Right.
Nothing creepy. Their newest member of the family, their little girl, she's talking about a friendly guy on the second floor who tells her stuff, and so there's nothing sinister about the haunting. But house was built 1743. That's the first structure.
Right. And
what did research show us? Built on an Indian burial ground.
Yeah, that's
oldest
common.
Sounds like the oldest cliche in the book, but we actually can prove that it was a funeral parlor. Many people have come in and out. Not just the psychic I work with, Pam, but a couple other psychics we've brought in, knowing nothing about the house, have not only hit on the same stuff Pam has, but stuff that has been actually found in historic record that backs it up.
Very
so
interesting.
we're very lucky to be occasionally allowed into this home to maybe, lack of a better word, experiment and ghost hunting. And the house does...
almost like a training ground, because you know it's proven.
Just about, yeah. And it's a fascinating house. The family that own it, rock solid people, and just fascinating.
And a lot of times, not to cut you off, but a lot of times, I'll make this quick because we do have more clips coming. People in different groups, they will get disappointed if nothing happens. You know, they go there just solely based for something to happen. If it doesn't, they get bummed out. You know, what do you think about different groups that go out there, you know, searching for answers, or, you know, if they don't get it, it's a lost cause. You know, they have to get it, because these clips that you have here, you know, that might be out of 5,000 that you didn't get. You happen to get these.
Yeah, exactly. No, and nobody should feel that way. It's just because nothing happened that night.
Right.
Doesn't mean it isn't
it's not
haunted.
there.
And it also doesn't mean a loss.
Right.
I mean, I never ever have walked away from an investigation or a vigil where, all right, I didn't get any photographs, I didn't get any interesting video clips.
Should be peace of mind.
But it's like, hey, it's the experience.
Right.
It's still the experience of it. And if you are lucky enough to, whether the business owner, the homeowner, If you can get a rapport going with them, if you can get their trust,
come back
which is
multiple
important,
times.
you know, is there another time we can come back? Because I know a lot of people who call me and I'll say, what do you want out of this investigation? What can I do for you? What are you hoping out of this investigation? Right. And it basically boils down to the same thing. I just want somebody to say, is it my imagination? Am I nuts? And it'd be great if you could catch that EVP or that picture, so my brother-in-law will stop making fun of me because he doesn't believe.
Right.
So some people will say, no, you're welcome back anytime, and you know, experiment. Right. Bring a psychic one time. Bring the infrared camera. Let's try and do some audio stuff. Bring down Mike Markowitz and bring him into it and see what he can catch. And hopefully you can get that little tantalizing piece that you can burn on a disc and go, there you go. The next time Uncle Tony's making fun of you, go ahead,
show it to him.
Play that EVP
and he'll
for
still
him.
Be a skeptic every time.
Sure, but at least they had that peace of mind to go, look, these group of people, they don't think I'm nuts.
Right.
Or, you know, you can go in and go, I can tell you right now, the reason why you feel weird in the cellar, we ran an EMF meter around, you got the worst wiring. And you're basically in an EMF fear cage, and that's why after about a half an hour of folded laundry, you feel creeped out. You know, it's bad wiring, not a haunting. And people do appreciate that. They're like, okay, so it was my imagination, you know? But that's what I find. I find if, you know, if you're going to go investigate a place, you have to accept the fact that more times than not, you're going to walk away just with the experience of going, yeah, I sat out in that old house for 5 hours.
But it's the privilege of being there that you should be happy to have.
Exactly.
Why don't you run us on to the next clip
that you
have here?
We're talking about, you know, homeowners, you know, having experiences. I had a lady, I've become very good friends with. Her name is Anne Marie. She lives in Scituate, Rhode Island. She bought a house that was built in 1963. But it was built on very old land. Okay. And was told nothing about the house until after she bought it. And slowly but surely, the doubting Thomases of her family have come around to go, sorry we made fun of Anne Marie. I saw that, I heard that. That guy you had come in the house, he's got me convinced. Well, there's so many stories to tell about this house that when Jeff Belanger asked, hey, could you do a little report for 30-odd minutes? I did this little 90-second report on just some of the physical items that have been distorted, bent, twisted, and misshapen, and then left in the same chair. No matter where they put it in the house, the calling cards, as I call them, end up in the cushions of this chair. And I think this clip will explain itself.
All right.
Jeff, I'm here in a private residence in Scituate, Rhode Island, where many, many, many strange events have taken place over the last year. Just hit you with some of the strangest events right here in the living room. This red chair here, no matter where it has been in the living room, it has been a place where calling cards have been left. And this is what I mean by calling cards. First one was found just underneath the chair about 3 months ago. It was followed up by this utensil, which used to be a spoon, and as you can see has been completely flattened out. A pair of inexpensive reading glasses disappeared, and when they turned up, this is what they looked like. The chair was moved to the other side of the room. Similar calling cards still showing up. This one was rather strange because it wasn't found under the chair or on it. It was propped up between the chair and the wall. This object was put away in a shed outside of the house, buried under many, many things. We don't even know how it got out of the shed. And this one I personally saw coming over on an investigation, tucked between the armrests and the mattress. Most disturbing was witnessed by the homeowner and her next door neighbor. For 10 minutes they watched this soot appear on this cherub's face. And it has a rather personal significance to the family that I won't touch on now, but very, very strange. Back to you, Jeff.
2 other cherub statues have showed up in the house with soot on it that we can't explain how it got on it, but that was actually seen by a former skeptic who lives next door that was hanging out with Anne Marie just having coffee.
Turned believer.
Yes, I mean, and too many things have happened to the house now. This person has gone from, I never believed in this, to, oh my goodness, this stuff does happen. Without touching on too many personal details, a friend of the family had died at a location not far from this house before Anne Marie lived at this house. Okay. They crashed into a tree and their head, unfortunately, was burned right off the body. And what was strange is his site where he crashed, the members of his family have been decorating the site with wreaths and ribbons. And what Anne Marie didn't know as they were also decorating the crash site with those same exact cherub statues.
That's what the soot possibly represents?
Him trying to communicate. A few other things have turned up burned in ways we can't understand, but we believe that spirit connected to her through blood and marriage has found her house, and her house is somewhat of a portal, we believe.
Okay.
Whereas the spoon bending ghost, who also likes to hide remote controls, was somebody else connected to her through marriage. But there are other ghosts in the house that come from the 1800s. They're seen in old-timey clothing, and they seem to have a whole nother agenda in the home. But the more research we did, the more we found out about the property, and it's making sense. But I've heard, the one and only time I've heard a disembodied voice was in that house. Absolutely stunned me. I asked a question, why are you haunting Anne Marie? What do you want? And this female voice came right out of the attic, please help me out. Fortunately, I had a recorder going when it happened, so I was able to catch it. But this house is, again, I'm so privileged to not only be able to call the homeowner a friend, but I'm able to go back.
You have the trust.
Yes, and she makes notes, she writes things down. If something really crazy happens, she'll call me. And myself and a few of my colleagues that I brought in there are just, this house is just absolutely crazy. And just to end on that story, the woman whose grandfather built the house 2 years ago was out in front of her house taking a picture of the house. She came out and said, can I help you? She said, oh, my grandfather built this house. I now live in Florida. I was up in Rhode Island visiting relatives. I just wanted to see if Granddad's house was still there. I hope you don't mind me taking a picture. And Anne Marie was like, nope, don't. She said, let me ask you a question. Did you people ever have anything weird happen to you in this house? She was like, well, I got hit by lightning 3 times, but I don't know, what do you mean weird? She said, like ghosts? And she said, no, I've never heard anything like that. So 2 years later, this woman shows up on Anne Marie's doorstep. This was just recently, this last autumn. And she said, hey, it's been a while since I've been up to Rhode Island, but I had to stop by and say hi. She goes, you know, it's really weird. I went back to Florida, and I asked Mom about the house, if she ever experienced anything with ghosts in the house. She said her mother didn't miss a beat. She looked right at her and went, oh, yes, your grandmother and I dealt with the ghosts every day in that house. She said, I never knew this, Mom. She says, no, we never told you kids.
Again, going back to the taboo thing, pretty much, you know.
Exactly. So they kept quiet about it, but she came back all the way from Florida and went to go see Anne Marie to go, you're not nuts. My mom and apparently my late grandmother used to see ghosts all the time in the house. So I'm able to go back and keep investigating, try new methods, bring in other people, see what they come up with.
Right, because it's all about perception. You know, what you or I see, or Joe Schmo sees, Sally and someone else may not see.
Exactly. So yeah, it's just, I've been incredibly lucky. Do we have time for one more clip?
Yes, I believe we do.
This is a quick one. This was taken with a video camera shooting in UV to infrared light.
Okay.
And I feel this is a very good argument for using psychic mediums. I wasn't with Pam, I was with a lady who lives on the property who was having these dreams talking to people who died connected to the property, and we were able to find that these weren't just dreams. These people existed. The names she was being given, the way they died, we were able to back this all up with historical research.
It's all verified.
But we were out there in the backyard wondering if the ghosts would show up, because we've had some pretty spooky luck out there with these phantom lights. She pointed off into the woods and said, there's something out in front of us right now. Couldn't see it with our own eyes, but the UV infrared camera caught this. This clip's quite interesting. Oh, excuse me, that's the theory.
Next clip.
I'm sorry, it's marked as UV to IR 30-odd minutes. I confused everybody in the control room, I'm afraid. Too many clips. It's the last one, so he's probably going to cue that up.
This is the point where nobody's perfect. We all make mistakes.
You'll get it. Bear with us, folks. It's worth watching.
Technical difficulties. We'll be right back.
Guest brought too much material. Should have been the last one after this clip. Oh, certainly. But the odd thing is, we're standing there in a forest with, there's no neighborhoods around, there's no highway. We're out in the woods,
right,
under a full moon night. And as I said to my friend Jim, the moon was so bright we could have played paintball. I mean, So if anybody had been
there
in front of us,
no roads in the area.
no, and if it had been any kind of explainable light, we would have been able to see with our own eyes.
Right.
The only thing that's able to see is this UV infrared camera.
And so it's startling just for that basis alone, too.
Yes.
That you didn't catch it with the naked eye.
No, it just wasn't there, and there was nothing out in front of us. And it disappeared just as the psychic medium that we were working with said, it's gone. And I looked down at the
and sure
camera,
enough,
and it's like, no, it's just not there anymore.
Very interesting. Do we have that clip ready?
No, we don't have that one.
Oh, sorry about that. Well, everybody wants to go to GreenvilleParanormal.com.
There we go.
Yeah, just go to the
We
investigation
do have the
page.
website if you want to put the website name up there.
Yeah.
Sorry about that, folks.
That's
That is technical.
But like I said, it's easily remedied. So they're not
Yeah.
like, oh, what was he talking about?
Yeah,
you
it
can
is
see
there.
You can see it. It's
Yes.
listed as private investigation, private residence in South County.
Okay.
But very fascinating clip. Everybody looks at it. It's like kind of hard to explain. Again, not proof of anything, but
Right.
What the heck was it?
Yeah, definitely. That is very interesting. And please check out Andrew's website to check out that clip. We're sorry we weren't able to have that on. We thought we had it, but again, that's the way of TV. It does happen.
It does happen. Oh,
Yeah.
hey, on our show, 30 Odd Minutes, our guest, we couldn't get him on at all via Skype.
Is that the?
Nope.
No,
This
that's
is the back clip.
That clip right there is a little bit of a teaser, but I didn't want to bring it up since we're pressed for time.
Yeah.
But anyway, 30 Odd Minutes, we had a guest via Skype that the Skype connection just wouldn't cooperate, and there we are, just dying right there on live television. We eventually got him in on a phone and just put a photograph of the guy up, but we thought we had everything all ready to go, and then right when it's time to go on live, it's like,
yeah, it happens more times than not.
But the funny thing is, we found on 30 Odd Minutes, we only have technical difficulties like that when it's a UFO person.
Okay. Cryptozoology, or is that
No,
same?
cryptozoology, no problems. Ghosts, no problems. Conspiracies, no. You bring on ufologists, and it's like the Men in Black, or like,
no more.
yeah. Everybody we've had on with UFOs, it's dove into the ground.
And so you think UFOlogy, if you pronounce it that way, cryptozoology, paranormal, they're pretty much all the same thing.
It's all the same thing. It's all. I mean, I'm a ghost guy,
right.
But believe me, I am very open-minded to all things unusual. I have friends who are into ufology. I have friends who are very much into cryptozoology. And I've found some people, like, they won't cross over. They're like, oh, you're an idiot if you're looking for Bigfoot, or you're an idiot looking for... That's ridiculous. We're all looking for answers.
It's all the unexplained.
That's right. That's right.
My question that I always like to ask people, and kind of spins their head thinking about it, is we're all looking for those answers. The big answers, the big questions that we don't have answers to. Even if you had the answers, what are you going to do with it?
Exactly.
What are you going to do with those answers? Because you're still going to have skeptics out there. So what do you think to the people that, like you, like me, that we're looking for the answers? Do you think it's just going to be a never-ending process? We're just going to continuously...
Oh, certainly. The answers will only be for us as individuals. But whatever we have found through research and investigation, put it out there for the public to see. I mean, we're basically going to be, preaching to the choir. The only people that we're really going to excite are the people that have had their own personal experiences, or they're out there in the field investigating.
Right.
They've seen what's a dust orb and what's a real orb. You know what I mean?
Right.
So for us, you're going to find your answers maybe one day. Maybe I'll find mine. I don't think so. I think it's going to be a perpetual mystery. And
I think of it this way: when I pass on, I'm going to make sure that people are still going to be looking for answers, because I'm going to come back and make sure that they have those cases.
All my colleagues will all agree. Hey, if one of us gets hit by a car or dies from food poisoning, come back as quick as you can. Get in front of our cameras or leave that EVP.